What is going on, people? Jacob here, Miami Dolphins Syndicate. We got the AFC and NFC Championship game coming up on Sunday. Another AFC Championship game that the Miami Dolphins will not be participating in. It's been since 1993. Let me know down below how old you were back in 1993. I was -7 years old. So while we watch another championship weekend without the Dolphins, we will get to watch a championship weekend between four really good teams. The four teams that I'd say probably deserve to be here at this point in the season. And quite a few different matchups that we can see in the Super Bowl that I'm pretty excited to see. Regardless of what happens, I will be for sure rooting for whoever wins the NFC side of things, whether it's the Eagles, whether it's the Commanders. I will be for sure rooting for that side when it comes to the Super Bowl because as Dolphins fans, it really sucks to see both the Bills, our AFC East rival, and then the Kansas City Chiefs, a team that just consistently gets to the Super Bowl year in, year out. Now, Patrick Mahomes going for Super Bowl number 4. It sucks to have to watch that as a Dolphins fan, but that's the reality of the situation. And with both of these games coming up here, we've already seen these teams match up at least once this year. The Eagles Commanders have played twice. Second game, Jalen Hurts got a concussion in the first quarter, so I don't take a whole lot away from that game. And then on the other side, we saw the Bills and the Chiefs play earlier this year. The Eagles won the initial game where Jalen Hurts played, and the Bills won their first matchup. Both of these games, the previous matchup between the two teams was less than 10 points in terms of the margin of victory. So these four teams are all really close in talent level, all really close on the scoreboard. So let's break down how we think it's going to go. So we'll talk first about the game that, as a Dolphins fan, it is easier to stomach. That being the first game on Sunday, the NFC Championship game between the Eagles and the Commanders, and a game in which we kind of expected the Eagles to be here at this point in the season. They got significantly better by adding Saquon Barkley, adding Vic Fangio, a man that just a year ago was the Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator. He's gone over to the Philadelphia Eagles, had a lot more success, and there's a few reasons why you can break down why he's been more successful. Is it that the Miami Dolphins players were just that unreceptive to Vic Fangio and his more old school tendencies, or is the personnel over in Philadelphia just that much better? It's probably a little bit of both, but Saquon Barkley has added a dynamic to this offense that they didn't have before. A running back that they can lean on, not just in the receiving game, like they saw with Miles Sanders become a little bit more of a receiving back his time in Philadelphia than he is now in Carolina, and DeAndre Swift certainly was deployed more as a receiving back. This is now a offense that you have a bell cow running back in Saquon Barkley that you can run the option with Jalen Hurts, or you can just straight give the ball to him, and he's probably going to get you around 150 yards very easily. And then on the other side, you have the Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels. He was one of my favorite players coming out of the draft, and it's not some grand declaration to say a player who's a top 5 pick is going to end up being really good, but I was really confident in him going into the pros. I didn't know how he would fare going to the Commanders because, quite frankly, we just haven't seen the Commanders have a whole lot of success in recent memory, but this is a very different Commanders team. They've been coached really well on both sides of the ball. Their defense is playing really well. Their rushing defense, which wasn't great in the regular season, has stepped up here in the playoffs. And then Jaden Daniels has just continued his tremendous success that we saw from him in the regular season, and he stepped up even to another level now in the playoffs. The biggest injury to speak of is from the Commander side. Sam Cosmi, the starting right guard, one of the best offensive guards in the entire NFL, will be missing this game as he tore his ACL last week. Will probably miss the majority, if not the entirety, of next season as well. So we will see a reshuffled Commanders offensive line that is going against one of the best defensive lines in all football, spearheaded by Jalen Carter, who's been an absolute wrecking ball for the Eagles defense. And you look all around the Eagles defense, whether it's Jalen Carter on the defensive line, whether it's Darius Slay out wide, whether it's the safety play with Reed Blankenship. They've got dudes all around that can cover, that can tackle, that can get to the quarterback. It is a very talented defense, and the offense is just as talented with A.J. Brown, with Saquon Barkley, with Devontae Smith. Now the question comes to Jalen Hurts and his ability to not just throw the ball, but also run the ball now that he's dealing with injuries of his own. He's probably going to be wearing a brace on his knee from a play which should have been flagged as a hip drop tackle last week. So his mobility will certainly be into question, and he has not thrown a whole lot of yards, less than 300 yards, I believe it is, in the first 2 games of the playoffs so far this season. So he hasn't been the best in terms of what we expect from Jalen Hurts, but at the very least, he is going to be able to give the ball to Saquon Barkley, who could easily go off for 200 yards. And then we've seen a lot more underneath passing from this Eagles offense, going to A.J. Brown, going to Devontae Smith, getting the tight end more involved now that Dallas Goedert is fully healthy. When you check the boxes for both these two teams, you go look at running back, I'm going to give it to the Eagles. Wide receiver, I'm going to give it to the Eagles. Offensive line, I'm going to give it to the Eagles. Defensive line, give it to the Eagles. Corners, safeties, pretty much everywhere down the line, I'm going to give it to the Eagles. Experience, Eagles. But the Commanders got the quarterback. And when you got the quarterback playing as well as Jaden Daniels is, in spite of the fact that he's a rookie, how confident, how poised, how talented Jaden Daniels has been, you have a chance at every single game you play. And this is the third time these two have faced off against each other. So Jaden Daniels has maybe a little bit more of a leg up playing this Eagles team than other teams would have if matched up against this same Philadelphia Eagles team. So I feel confident that Jaden Daniels is not going to be rattled by this Eagles defense, and you're still going to see a very poised, a very accurate, a very talented, a very athletic Jaden Daniels. But I do believe all of those other boxes that have been checked on the side of the Eagles are going to be what wins them this game. I don't think they're going to have to, or even going to try to over rely on Jalen Hurts to win this game. I think they're going to just try to run the ball, eat the clock, kill the time of possession, win the time of possession rather. As long as they don't turn the ball over, as they haven't done a lot so far in this preseason, or in this postseason rather, they don't give the ball away, they don't commit a lot of penalties. I do think the Eagles and how dominant they are around Jalen Hurts and on the defensive side of the ball is going to be enough to win them this game. And then on the opposing side, again, another matchup which we've seen these two teams play out already this year, the Bills and the Chiefs. They played already once this year in Buffalo. The Buffalo Bills won by 9. And something of note on both sides of the championship weekend, the team that controlled the time of possession was the team that won the game. And what we saw from the Bills the first time these two teams played is Josh Allen did play a lot more hero ball than they've been wanting him to play this year. This has been a year that the Buffalo Bills have relied on their running game a whole lot more in years past. The Buffalo Bills have gotten to the AFC Championship game now a few different times, and in doing so, they've put so much pressure, so much weight on the shoulders of Josh Allen to carry the offense along, and credit to him, he's done that. But this year, they've accepted the running game. They got James Cook involved. He just scored the most touchdowns that he has in an entire career. Ray Davis has got involved. Ty Johnson has played a massive role for this Buffalo Bills team. And then you look at the wide receivers. Amari Cooper, a midseason acquisition, just one catch last week, has not been involved hardly at all since coming over from the Cleveland Browns. Your number one wide receiver is Khalil Shakir on most days. The passing game hasn't been there, but it hasn't had to. They've relied on their defense. They've relied on their running game. Sounds a whole lot like what we just talked about with the Philadelphia Eagles. However, they have a better quarterback that can step up and play the hero ball. We know Josh Allen at any point is capable to do so. Any lead is not too big for this Buffalo Bills offense when you have Josh Allen, who can single-handedly win a game for the Bills. And it's the same story for the Kansas City Chiefs that we saw from the last 2 years. It's not the most talented receiving core, although if you add Rashee Rice, this is certainly the most talented receiving core that they've had since Tyreek Hill left. DeAndre Hopkins hasn't had a big role to play in the playoffs in their one game that they played so far, but Hollywood Brown has gotten involved and he provides an option over the top. His biggest issue throughout his career has been one, availability, and one, just keeping the hands on the football, whether it be drops, whether it be fumbles. Hollywood has had that issue in his career. He's an explosive playmaking wide receiver as long as he can catch the ball. And since coming back from the Chiefs, he's just provided another weapon to go alongside DeAndre Hopkins and, of course, Travis Kelce, who we knew that coming to the season, as he's gotten older, as he contemplated retirement last season, that there's a good chance that Travis Kelce's role was going to diminish within this Chiefs team. And during the regular season, it certainly did. He had his big games here and there, but he wasn't overly involved. They weren't really exerting him to have to play at the top of his game in the regular season, but that obviously switches when we get to the playoffs. And another 100-plus yard performance game on last Saturday against the Texans, continuing to break records. He's now standing alone with Jerry Rice, I believe it is, with 100-yard games in the postseason. So he's going to be what we know for him to be in the playoffs. And you have Patrick Mahomes. The rushing game hasn't been as great since Isaiah Pacheco went down, and it hasn't been as great since he's come back. He's clearly still dealing with the injury that he sustained, the broken ankle that he sustained earlier in the year. So it is going to be a lot of Kareem Hunt. It is going to be a backfield by committee for this Kansas City Chiefs offense. And then the defense on the other side is just as good as it was last year with slightly different parts. But we know what you're getting from both these two teams. We've seen this story play out before. We've seen these two teams match up in the playoffs. And every single time the Kansas City Chiefs has gone on to win in more, I think pretty much every single time except for the Bengals game where the Chiefs lost, Chiefs went on to the Super Bowl. I said in the video I made the other day that as much as it sucks to say as a Dolphins fan, I do hope the Bills beat the Chiefs and go to the Super Bowl. And I'm not going to be rooting for the Bills in the Super Bowl. I just want to see a different story play out. I'm tired of the Chiefs making the Super Bowl. They always find a way. They got the coaching, they got the quarterback, they have good enough weapons, they have a stellar defense now with a great defensive coordinator. You know what you're getting from them. The Buffalo Bills, most years, when you say you knew what you're getting from them, it was an over-reliance on Josh Allen. He had to throw the ball 30 times, had to run the ball an additional 10 times. It was hero ball or nothing for the Buffalo Bills in the past. It was Josh Allen score 3 touchdowns one way or another at a minimum, or the Buffalo Bills were losing. Now, Josh Allen can throw for 70 yards in the first half and still have a lead. Josh Allen can have a minimal effect on the game as much as Josh Allen really can, because he is just such a wrecking ball and playmaker from the quarterback position. He can have as little of effect on the game as he has really since his rookie year, and the Bills continue to win games. It's a different Bills team with a different offensive system, with an incredibly strong defense that we do know from them to have. I think this is going to be the year the Bills do it. I got the Bills taking on the Eagles as my Super Bowl matchup. Now, I will say, I used to make videos over on a personal channel where I think I went 2 or 3 Super Bowls in a row of predicting the wrong Super Bowl matchup entirely. I'm talking about whiffing on both teams playing. So, if you're a betting man, whatever I just said, Bills, Eagles, yeah, go ahead and place that ticket for Chiefs, Commanders, because based off me talking about it, that's probably what's going to happen. But I like my chances to see the Bills and the Eagles in what should be an incredibly entertaining game that really could go either way. If the Commanders end up making it on the AFC side, I won't be that, or on the NFC side rather, I won't be that disappointed. If the Chiefs make it on the AFC side, I probably will be a little bit disappointed. I'm just so tired of seeing that story play out. But let me know down below, how do you think this game will go? Who do you think the X factors will be for each team? What do you want to see happen? And of course, unfortunately, make sure you go tell me the age you were when the Miami Dolphins last made the AFC Championship game. Also, just for that matter, go ahead and tell me the last time, or your age the last time the Miami Dolphins made the Super Bowl. What was that, in the mid-80s? Maybe about negative 15 years old. So, yeah, let's go ahead and wallow in our depression as Dolphins fans. Let us know that down below in the comments and give us your predictions for the games. Appreciate y'all very much for watching. Go hit that like button. Go hit that sub button. Take care. We'll see y'all next time. Go Dolphins.